That is the intro to the Doobie Brothers Minute by Minute. Now, I'm 50 years old, and why is that important? Because we learn a lot better when we're younger, and I've always wanted to learn how to do that. And there's a lot going on in there. A lot of stuff going on in there, and it takes dexterity, and you have better dexterity and muscle memory and synapse ability as a young one. And so I'm determined to do it as an old one. And so why is that important with regard to our jewelry stores? Because we need to constantly be bettering ourselves. We need to constantly be learning and growing. And we need to develop successful and great habits. Just like my finger memory there, we need to develop habits that are just like that. And so I am very, very happy and proud to say that I've teamed up with Brad Huskin from IAS Training. IAS means I'm a salesman, and so, or I'm a salesperson. And listen, I've loved Brad's content for years. I thought it was the best out there. And so I'm happy to say that, you know, through what we're doing here at Jewelry Store Training on a weekly basis, partnered up with Brad, and we're going to be teaching certain programs from him, and it is going to be fantastic. So we're starting off with Certified Jewelry Sales Professional, okay? So when we're all done, you're all going to be certified. Cool? So let's discuss the real goal of a sales presentation. Now, I know many of you may be thinking, duh, Jimmy, it's to sell the piece. Well, that's true, yeah, but that's not the real goal, because the real goal, if we want to be successful long-term as sales professionals and as jewelry stores, the real goal of a sales presentation is threefold. You have it in your notes. Number one, it's to develop personal trade. Number two, it's to get repeat business. And number three, it's to obtain referral business. Now, I could just say, really, it's all about relationships. We need to build relationships with our customers. It's through relationships that we get all of this, okay? So let's talk about how to do that. Now, again, the answer is not to make the sale, because that's going to happen if we do all this. So let's discuss that. In your notes, I'm going to give you red items if you have color printers. If you don't have color printers, it's labeled action step. So action step number one is to set a personal trade goal. I'm going to tell you about Tammy. Tammy was in Cincinnati, and she was working at a jewelry store there, and she was pretty successful. What is pretty successful? She was selling about $250,000 of jewelry a year. In a store that's doing $1 million, that's pretty darn good. She's pretty important to that jewelry store. Well, what Tammy did is she developed personal trade. She developed relationships with her customers. She had people coming in and asking for her. There was hugs, there was all kinds of telephone conversations, there was all kinds of emails, all kinds of Facebook posts. This girl was on the personal trade business, and there were people coming in that didn't even know the owner, but they were asking for Tammy. Well, I'll tell you what, eventually she decided that she would be more happier, more successful elsewhere. So what she did is she went to another jewelry store. Actually, what happened is her husband had to take a job in another city. So she ended up moving, and you know what? The city was only about 12 miles away. So almost 100% of her personal trade business went with her to that new jewelry store. Well, how fired up is that new store owner about having Tammy come on board? How awesome. And really, honestly, how depressing is it for the old jewelry store? She's gone. But what we need to do is we need to act like what happened years ago in your store. Here's what happened. The owner of your store developed personal trade with people in town. That person was the watch repair person. They changed batteries. They did these things that we did years ago, right? That were so important. And they were like their dentist. They were like their doctor. They were their jeweler. Well, that was so successful that they had to hire you. And now what we have is a situation where what created the success of the store initially now is an entirely different model because you're there. Well, what are you going to do? You have to grab that ball, you have to grab that baton and run with it just like they did. So action step number 1 for you to do to start today, write this down on paper, is you set a goal for personal trade. This is not set by management or owners. You have to set it for yourself because you're going to start hitting, you're going to go after goals that you set for yourself. So I wrote down here 150. Let's start with that. In your jewelry career, 5 years down the road, you have 150 people that rely on you, that call you by name, ask for you by name when they walk through the door. How beautiful would that be? So maybe you're in a bigger city and you, or maybe you have bigger influence or a bigger circle of friends. Maybe set it for 200. Okay? And this doesn't have to just be your circle of friends. This is the people that you're meeting every single day. The old codger that walks into the door next, or the young kid, the young guy that wants to give his girl a promise ring. It starts with the people right in front of you today. So set that goal, write that number down, and put it somewhere where you can see it every single day. Now let's talk about how to do this. The benefits of doing this and how to do it. The one great benefit is that you get a guaranteed volume amount every single year, sales volume amount, without $1 of advertising spent, okay? That is fantastic. Just imagine, okay, say you have 100 people in your lifetime that call you and ask for you by name. And they spend, let's just say, $1,000 a year on average. Now, I already know that people that develop personal relationships have a higher average ticket than people that are just, say, transactional customers. So you have 100 people that spend on average $1,000 a year. Well, there's $100,000 in volume that you've created yourself without $1 of advertising spent. Make that 200, make that 500, make it 1,000,000. Whatever the number is, you decide and you go for it. So that's beautiful because it's guaranteed. It's going to keep coming in because these people are going to keep having diamond buying and jewelry buying moments in their lives, okay? Because you're going to help provide that excitement and impetus. So how to do this? You provide an amazing experience. Simple as that. You provide an amazing experience. And we're going to get into that here in action step number 2. Next, be their friend in the business. It's simple as that. Now, you can be their friend on Facebook, and there's ways to do that. We're going to discuss that. You can be their friend that they rely on and they call for jewelry needs. And you're going to be the friend that they refer to in the jewelry business, but that's coming soon. So I have a car guy. He's right down the road here. Okay, his name is Sean. He's an auto repair guy, but I trust him more than I trust the big dealerships. So he's my friend, and I spend money. You know, I don't even ask questions. I say, yeah, just go do it. I trust you. I trust him, and they're going to trust you too if you become their friend in the business. Okay, so the owner started doing this a long time ago. You just need to continue this by creating your own personal trade business within that jewelry store. Okay, simple. And then these are people that trust you. Listen, you're going to find that transactions happen much easier and much smoother. You're even going to find that transactions happen on the phone if they haven't even seen it. Because they're going to call you and you're going to know what Carla likes and dislikes. And so when John calls you and says, hey, I'm coming to get something for Carla, keep it about $400 or $500, no problem, it'll be wrapped up when you get here. You're going to find that simple of transactions. Ask your owners. They have relationships with people to that trust level that they'll just call them on the phone. I have that with a flower guy on Friday night. They have half-price flowers. It's kind of the stuff that's left over in the cooler. And I say, hey, this is Jimmy. Set me up with $25 worth. And then they put together this amazing bouquet. It's half-price night. And a lot of times, they just leave it out on the porch for me because they're closed, and I go and get it. But that's the beauty of developing relationships. The sale is made much easier. It's much more fun. It's just simple. So action step number 2 is provide an amazing experience. All right, let's just go through that. There's 6 little steps there. First of all, utilize client cards. I don't have one here. It's over on my desk over there, but you get it. It's these client cards that have name, finger size, anniversary date, birth date, all those preferred method of contact, all of those types of things. Utilize those client cards. If you don't have them, email me, email Brad. We'll send you a copy of ours. It's just a template. You have to make your own, put your own, and you don't need to make those really fancy because they're not really for the customer, they're for you. So I just like to I put my fields on the front and on the back, just a bunch of lines because I'm just going to take a bunch of notes anyway. So utilize client cards. Get in the habit of holding them, taking them, carrying them with you, have your pen with you, have your tools. I have a jeweler's loop that I take with me, and sorry about I hit the mic there. So you have your tools, you have your client cards. So utilize those everywhere. Carrying them around with you, greet every customer. Because it's inevitable, they're going to tell you some information and you're going to be like, oh crud, I got to go get that card. So just make it nice and smooth and approach them with the cards in your hands. Okay? Number 2, know your stuff. Know your jewelry in your store. Know the features and benefits of every line that you have. Know the return policies, the custom times and durations, and the custom ability that every customer that know what Gabriel can do. Okay, know what Unique can do, and that's so that's knowing your product, knowing diamonds, knowing information about diamonds, of course, knowing your gemstones, things like that. But also, you need to know the sales process. And we're going to get into that a lot more here with the 7 questions that lead you through the sale later on. But know your stuff, and especially know how to bring people through the sale. Next, be real and sincere. Listen, we're in an era right now where people do not like spiels or presentations or gimmicks or cliche phrases. Be real. Be a real person. That's why I don't edit these things like crazy if I screw up. I'm real and I'm just telling you like it is, okay? If it's too polished and too smooth, it comes across as insincere. And so I don't want my product to be that way, and you shouldn't be that way either, okay? As soon as they feel like they're being sold with a presentation or a spiel, you've lost them, okay? So be real and sincere. Number 4, be sharp. Present yourself well. Look sharp. I didn't button my top button, but I don't have to because I'm not in a jewelry store right now. Know how to use an iron. Make yourself look good. Make sure you're made up well. Your hair's good. Your breath. Okay, so there's all kinds of presentation things there that you need to be aware of. So present yourself well. This is the fashion business and you're in a jewelry store. Number 5, your presentation must be on point. And what I mean by that is not how you lead people through the sale. I'm talking about what the store looks like, what you look like, what your cases look like. Are your tags so worn out and dirty that you can't even see any of the information on them anymore? What do your displays look like? Are they all torn up and pen marked and things like that? You need to have a good, clean, sharp presentation. You need to be proud. You need to be proud of what you're presenting, okay? And so this is everything from fingerprints on the doorknobs to, to diamonds that are touched and have dirt on them, okay? So all the way through signage and that type of thing. So that's a big basket. So we won't go into that now, but this is just generalities. And then 6, romance. We've got to get away from talking about the granular substance made of carbon in front of us and those details from the mine. It's good to know that information. It's very important to know that information. But if we don't know why he's buying it for her, if we don't know that information, again, we've lost the sale and now we're a transactional store. So let's get into romance. Let's get into talking about things differently, using different words to describe our jewelry. Different words than K's down the street, okay? So there's a lot there, and there's a lot to all of these, but I just wanted to give you a general outline. These are the action steps to providing an amazing experience. So that's it for now. That's number one of this incredible program that we're going to take you through called Certified Jewelry Sales Professional. We'll see you next week. I can't wait. I'll do it up here. Just takes practice.